Hi chaps, SimOP here from Beard, Biceps and Batchat. So a couple of days ago I brought you a video talking about the Fatherland op and a little bit about the IS-3A auto. So tomorrow morning 8 AM is when the operation actually starts. I hope you guys are all ready. Hope you've all booked a couple of days off work to get this. I haven't, but I've got some time playing to hopefully grind it out over 2 or 3 days. So what I wanted to talk about was actually completing the op itself and actually getting hold of the IS-3A. So the big thing is doing 500 physical damage. Now by that, it's obviously over 500, but it doesn't include assisted, tracked or anything else. You have to do 500 damage, and that's that. To have a chance at a loot drop and to get a chance at one of the medals, or one of the 5 that you need. One of the things I want to talk about is the tanks that I'm going to be using and the reason why I'm going to be using them. So the one of the main things I want to point out is do not YOLO. It's it's pointless. You're going to be running at the enemy. It's likely you're going to be taken out before you get your damage in. It's sort of 50-50 whether you'll even do 500 damage or not. So that could make it very awkward. So because we don't know the drop ratio of the medals, of the 5 that we need to collect, it's always important that we use tanks that are consistent and able to get 500 or more damage in between 2 and 3 shots. Generally that shouldn't be a problem to get 2 or 3 damage. Even a very poor game, you should get 2 or 3 shots in. So with that being said, there's a sort of bottom tier you don't want to go below in terms of tanks. For me, I won't be going below the KV-1S. That's just because that's 3 or 4 shots to get 500 damage. The other way I'm going is T-34-88 tier 6. That's going to take 2 shots to get, well, 2 maybe 3 shots to get 500 damage. Motherland's going to be 2 shots, 500 damage. T-54's 2 shots. OBJ-140's 2 shots. IS-3 is 2 shots as well. So it's very sort of consistent damage. So ideally we want to avoid anything sort of sub tier 5, just because it's not consistent enough. You're not guaranteed to get 500 damage if you have a very poor game, whereas sort of tier 5 upwards, as I said, even a poor game, there's no way you can't get 500 damage. So a couple of the reasons, these are the tanks I'm going to be doing the op in. They've obviously got to be Russian. I probably should have pointed out a little bit earlier on, but there's a couple of characteristics you want in your Russian tanks that you're using to make sure you're consistently getting a chance at a medal. So the first one is being able to dish out the damage while taking the damage in return. So taking the IS-3 for example, we know it's going to take us 2 shots to do 500 damage. Because of the armor on the IS-3, we know it can take 2 shots back, even in a tier 10 game at the very worst. So we're always very likely to do 500 damage in that tank. We're never going to have a game where it's going to be problematic. Same again for the KV-1S in tier 5, 6, 7s. It's always fairly likely to get 500 damage. It's 3-4 shots. You should be getting 4 shots, potentially not. It's a little bit 50-50 if you're having a very poor game with a lot of special moments. So with those sort of tanks, it's relying on the heavy armor just to ensure we can get our damage off. The other way you can go, especially with Russian mediums, which sort of excel at this, is using your camouflage and focusing on vision. So the idea behind this is you get your damage in without being spotted, so you're not taken out, so you don't finish a game below 500 damage. So to give you an idea, my T-54 that I've got here, that crew will go through the Motherland on the T-34-88 just because I'm training it up. We've got recon situational awareness on it. All the tanks that will go and have got binos or at least optics. So with the camo rating on the T-54 and the camo on the crew, I should always be spotting enemies before they ever spot me, so I'll be able to get damage in without taking any critical damage back, and just to keep up the consistency of ensuring that I'm always doing that magic number of 2 or 3 shots a game and 500 damage. Now the beauty of this is it doesn't particularly matter if you win or lose, you just need to be consistently doing damage to the enemy. You might even want to consider, I don't really recommend this, but you never know, your first couple of shots of the battle, it may even be worth just being a little bit cheeky, loading a couple of rounds of premium for your first couple of shots, and just taking the and just guaranteeing that damage. So whereas you may do shots that made to immobilize the enemy, for example, rather than do physical damage, you may want to be a little bit more greedy, and rather than allowing your team to get damage, although you'd get tracked experience, just going for the physical damage yourself. But I'd highlight it's probably not worth throwing the game, if that makes sense, just for the point of getting 500 damage. It'd be it kind of defeats the purpose of it. So the main sort of thing I want to take from this is consistency, and always ensuring that you hit your damage mark and get through a fair amount of games. So you ideally don't want to be sort of doing this in 1 or 2 Russian tanks, just because they'll be in the battle at the same time. If you do get destroyed quite quickly in 2 games, you want to sort of spread it out over 4 or 5 Russian tanks that you play quite well in. That way after one battle's finished, you can jump straight into the next, straight into the next. The reason you want to be doing that is a week isn't particularly a long time to work towards this op. Previously, when they've been giving away tier 8 premiums, it's been anywhere from upwards of sort of 2-3 weeks to a month to complete the operation for the tank, whereas in this case it's a pretty short time frame to do it. And generally speaking, I imagine most people are going to have to try and complete it over the weekend, so Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday, which sort of means they've really got to cram in those games to get it done. But the real big thing to take from it, again as I mentioned at the start, is avoid YOLOing. Don't YOLO. Your chances of doing the damage are just it just goes down a lot, just because you never know when a scout's going to spot you. Someone's going to track you in an open field and just take you out, so you want to be avoiding that as much as possible. But I'm really quite keen to see what tanks you guys are going to be playing to complete the op, what your sort of tactics are and strategies to make sure you're consistent with your damage. So let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, especially if you found it useful, and if you're enjoying the content, chaps, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.